A toxic pesticide 60 years ago was killing the majestic bald eagle across the United States.
The Eagles made a strong comeback, but as I-Team reporter Doug Wolfe tells us, the bald eagle facing a new threat.
The bald eagle, the United States national symbol since the 1700s. This eagle in Decatur living out its final hours, dying of lead poisoning.
I just get angrier and angrier and angrier when I see it.
By the early to mid-1960s, the bald eagle was near extinction because of the pesticide DDT, with only a few hundred nesting pairs left. Laws were changed in the early 70s banning DDT, and eagles have been making a comeback. But now the threat to these majestic birds comes from lead.
It's a pretty gruesome death.
There are a number of ways eagles get lead in their systems, virtually all of it man-made. Eagles nest along lakes and rivers where fishermen frequently leave lead weights in the water unintentionally. And there's another lead problem, and that's caused by hunters. Hunters shoot deer, often field dressing them. The remaining carcass and gut pile is left on the ground and frequently has lead from being hit by the ammunition. Eagles are scavengers and will then feed on the deer remains, ingesting the toxic metal. Jack Nuzzo at the Illinois Raptor Center in Decatur tells WAND News he has had a number of eagles brought in since 2018.
We've had 16 lead eagles come in, and so and none of them have made it.
That they have trouble moving, flying, and walking, seizures, and certainly death.
Terry Morgan looked at our video. She is a veterinarian and tells us lead impacts the bird's central nervous system.
You can see, fluid coming from the bird's face, and that's the fluid out of the GI tract because the lead impairs the ability for the GI tract to function. So we see regurgitation and vomiting, which is another big problem.
A study released in February in the journal Science reported harmful levels of lead were found in the bones of 46% of bald eagles sampled in 38 states. Similar rates of lead were also found in golden eagles. The study estimates that lead exposure reduced the annual population growth of bald eagles by 4%. At the Illinois Raptor Center in Decatur, Jack Nuzzo has been running blood tests on various species of birds to check their lead levels.
But you get over 3 micrograms per deciliter, you start to worry. These eagles come in at 65 micrograms per deciliter. That's over what the machine can read. A good percentage of Cooper's hawks that come in have lead in them. A good percentage of screech owls that come in have lead in them.
Even smaller birds like robins have been found to have lead, especially if they are in urban areas.
Any bird that sticks its beak in the ground for a living tends to have high amounts of lead. And the birds that eat the birds that stick their beaks in the ground tend to have high amounts of lead.
Trent Reeves is with the Illinois Department of Conservation.
Our role as far as trying to help keep lead out of the environment is to enforce current regulations, some of which have been on the books federally since 1991.
The law prohibits using lead shot in hunting waterfowl. Trent has an easy method to determine whether a shell has steel shot or lead. He simply uses a magnet.
If I take shells out of a guy's shotgun, I can simply put the magnet on there. If it's steel, it's going to be magnetic. Lead will not be magnetic.
Trent has run into a variety of birds with lead poisoning.
Eagles and some of the other raptors that feed on deer carcasses and other carcasses that may have been exposed to lead, certainly during the hunting season, shotgun season in particular.
There are currently no restrictions on the use of lead sinkers for fishing equipment. As for the eagle that died in Decatur recently, it is a learning experience for the future.
We have to take all that information that we got off that one bird and see how we can apply that to help the next bird that comes in.
Lead, a threat to wildlife, including the national symbol of our nation. For the I-Team, Doug Wolfe, WAND News.
Conservation groups urge hunters and fishermen to use lead alternatives, which won't impact the health of eagles.